Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Thursday's live stream. And this is a chilled live stream on Thursdays. I hope everyone's having a good week so far. If you can, please let me know in the comments if you can hear me all right through the speakers. Tonight's stream, we're just going to carry on with the org bus that we started. What I did was I actually went ahead and finished the sculpt so that we could move on to the painting, because I think a lot of people have seen a lot of the sculpting so far, and they probably want to see the painting side and the rendering side. So tonight we're going to focus on the painting and rendering side of things inside of ZBrush. I have also added a goal, a super chat goal, or a goal tonight. If you can hit that target, then I will actually finish the Photoshop version of this tonight as well. So if you want to see the Photoshop side of things done tonight as well as the rendering and painting, then check out that goal and let's see if we can reach it. Before we get started, I just want to say that you can become a YouTube member, and just get that banner out. I do this every time. So you can become a YouTube member where you can gain access to the archive streams, all the archive live play streams from the weeks before, and also there will also be long form video of my past time-lapse videos that I'm adding in slowly for members only. So if you want to see those ones done at the real time with background music, then become a member and you can see those there. You can also become a patron and get exclusive content as well as new tutorials that are exclusive for Patreon. So the one that's coming up in April will be the Velociraptor tutorial, and that's kind of the same thing as we do with the Monday live streams on the Dragon tutorial. Basically, I'll just go through with you step by step from beginner to intermediate artists how to sculpt a Velociraptor inside of ZBrush. It's a really cool tutorial, and you'll learn quite a bit about anatomy and how to sculpt fine detail on your character. And it's good for a portfolio piece as well. Okay, and you can also go to my online stores where you can grab the tutorials, brushes, models, all of that stuff on all my online stores. There should be a link in the description box below, but if you got some time, go check those out as well. So we're going to move into ZBrush now, and I'm going to show you what I've done so far and what we're going to continue to do in this live stream. If you have questions, please let me know in the chat. This is a fairly chilled live stream, I guess you'd say. So if you have any questions, you want to know about anything, just put them in the chat and let's get into it. Just going to put some music on. You can hear that. Oh, there it is. Right. Just turn these banners off. Yeah. We've got a first comment from Personal Diary saying hi, love from India, I believe it says. Yeah, India. Hello. So I went ahead in my spare time, as I mentioned in the beginning of this tutorial, in this live stream, and I went ahead and I just finished off all those extra pieces. So I've added some horns or spikes on his shoulder pad. I've finished off the other shoulder pad, added a couple of bolts on his shoulder pad, and also came to down here, just added some leather strapping here as well. If you want to know how I did that, then you can always ask me to make a tutorial or show you in another live stream if you want, and I'll show you how I went about doing that. So basically, the model is done, okay? And what we want to do now is move it into the texturing stage. But I just wanted to quickly show you that it's not going to matter what it looks like from the back here, because it's never going to be seen from the back, because if we do it to turntable, I'm only going to turn it from this angle to that angle. And I'm actually going to render this from the front, so you'll never really see the back of it. Before we actually get further into painting it, I just want to, using the move brush, just come in and change a bit of this face at the moment because it looks a little bit too stone-like and not enough emotion going on. So I'm just going to use the move brush quick and just change a few of these proportions. And it's as simple as doing this in order to get a different look on your character. Now, of course, you could go ahead and sculpt an expression on your model, but I think just doing those little bits of change on there will actually make the model look a bit more, give it a bit more character, basically. If anyone could put a thumbs up in the chat so I can see that the audio is good for you guys, then that would be really handy. Cool. All right, so before I usually get started with the painting, a second, I like to change the material of the color of the model, sorry, because the basic material doesn't really work very well. Oh, thank you, Personal Diary, for that. So yeah, the basic material doesn't normally work very well for me, so I normally change that material. So I'm just going to move this reference out the way quick so I can get to these. So the one that I tend to stick with the most is the skin shader material, as you see here. But I also like to go into the materials up here and change a modifier and bring down the specular, just so it's not got too much specular on it. So I'm not going to go through, it's not going to be like a tutorial. I'm just going to sort of walk you through how I'm doing things. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how I use this and that. I'm just going to sort of go with it, and you guys can just sit back and relax. And if you have questions about it, then just add them in the chat. These nuts and bolts here are a different material because I used an instant brush, or an IMM brush, sorry, from the model kit to make those pieces in there, and they normally come with their own material. So what I need to do is I need to add the skin shader material onto the nuts and bolts, but I don't want to add the color, I just want to add the material. So what you can do is just along the top here, I'm just going to use material. So M is material, RGB is the color, mRGB is material and color. I just want to change the material. Make sure that I've got those selected. So in the subtool palette here, I'm just going to make sure I've got those selected. I'm just going to hit color and fill object. And the same thing for the bolts. There we are. And the two down here. There we are. So now everything has the same material. And if you change the material, you'll see, oh, they should. Oh, let me just turn these off quick. They should all look equal or fairly equal in shade. And also make sure you turn off all the painting information as well. So for the sort of coloring, oh, got a question here from Personal Diary asking, how long does it take to become a ZBrush artist? It takes a lifetime, I would say. Yeah, you could become a reasonably good sort of ZBrush artist if you spent the next, I'm going to say 3 to 4, maybe 5 years just working non-stop, because you have to try and keep up or try to get better than artists that are already in the industry. So you're kind of against it there if you haven't started already. So I would, if you're becoming an artist or you're becoming a ZBrush artist, I would highly recommend that you start doing it now and not wait too long, because the longer you wait, the chances are that someone else is going to get in front of you with it. But I would say it took me about a good 3 to 4 years to get fluent inside of ZBrush. I'm still picking up a lot of stuff as well, like when it comes to hard surface sculpting or modeling. I'm still a novice in that. So I know where my flaws are, but I know where my strengths are. And I sort of put more strength into the creature design than the hard surface design. We got one here from Dave Newhouse saying, I had trouble poly painting. Do you have like a, could you explain it a little bit more, and I can maybe try and see if I can answer that question better? Yeah. But anyway, first thing I like to do, so my way of tackling texturing inside of ZBrush, because I know I'm going to do a lot of the concepting inside of Photoshop later, like the compositing inside of Photoshop. I like to just throw paint on, give it some sort of texture to it, and then do most of the work inside of Photoshop later. The way I attack it is the same way you would probably see if you go to like a miniatures, sort of like Warhammer, you know, the Warhammer 40k, and you go to their painting explanation videos and how they sort of layer the paint onto the character rather than trying to paint all the skin tones at once. They usually start with let's say it's a space marine. They'll start with a blue, and then they'll add Nuln oil or whatever, and then they'll add lighter blue and shades and shades and shades, and until they build up the character. So that's the sort of thing I like to do as well. But you'll probably see on other videos that people like to come in here. So if I grab the paintbrush, they like to come in here and use the spray, color spray or spray. I'm just going to solo this. And they like to do the whole, let me put some skin color on. Just going to use some skin color for this just for now, but I'm going to change it to green later. But they like to come in, fill the color with the skin color, and then using the key zones, so those key color zones, so you got the red, the yellow, and the blue, they'll come in and they'll start to add those in. Sorry, I've got to add symmetry. So they'll add the red parts in here and around there, and then they'll go to a yellow and add that where the bone is slightly more closer to the surface of the skin, and the blue is actually the cold zone, so that will be where the beard is on a human, I guess you'd say. And then what they'll do is they'll sort of blend these in, and using the RGB intensity and the size of their brush, they'll start to come in and start to blend it in with a lighter tone, but try to keep that underlining blue hues and yellows and reds and stuff like that. That's okay. You can do that. You can do it that way, and I think it's a good way to do things, or to do it that way to begin with, because you get to learn about the hot, cold, and sort of neutral colors on the face, right? But I'm a bit of I like to speed things up a little bit, so I normally just come in and use a fill on the whole thing. So I know there's going to be green. Actually, that looks pretty cool actually, with the RGB intensity at 44, but we should put that to 100. I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to go back to that because I like the way that looks. So I'll just show you what I do. So I go to RGB, full on, color it green. That's probably too green, probably one off green, something like that. And then what I'll do is I'll actually come in and start to add the darker areas with just a simple brush. In those key areas, then I'll use a little bit of red, maybe, and I'll slowly build it up like that. And then I'll come in and where is it? Masking. I'll use these masking tools to mask out the cavities and that sort of thing. That's how I normally do it, rather. So it just makes it a little faster for me to do it that way. Just got a second here. Got one here from Dave Newhouse. The brush wouldn't paint the valleys. I think it's because you might have a mask active. So as I was mentioning, you've got these things called masking in this area here. And if you turn on view mask, you'll probably be able to see if the mask is there or not. That's the only thing I could think of this, that you got a mask on one of your models that you haven't turned off yet. Probably double check that and just see if that's what's happening. Cool. So I'm actually going to go back to what we had before real quick, because I think that actually came out really nicely. Just going to go back. Come on. Once more. There we are. And I'm going to choose that green again. That's slightly off green. I'm going to turn it down to, what was it, 44? I'm going to fill the whole thing in. And that gives us quite a nice base. Just going to turn the green up a bit more. Yeah, it's not too bad, because you can still see the underlining orange and red, or the reds and yellows in there. But we can now come in and start to define those areas a bit more. So I'm going to use the blue hue again and just add that in around the chin area, like that. And now we're just going to find a green, a little darker green, and just very lightly go over key areas, especially around the eyes. I'm going to make them much darker. But as I mentioned, a lot of this will actually be done inside of Photoshop, so don't worry too much. I'll show you what I do in there later. Yeah, just going to add some more to the lip here. Now, the way I'm doing this is I'm doing all the poly painting before I actually pose the character. I think that's a good way to do things in order of, you know, how you want to get things done. Because if you actually did the posing and then did the painting afterwards, you'll be running into a lot of issues where you tried to paint both sides, but it's all in, you know, the pose is just sending all your painting sort of everywhere, and you can't really focus on key areas and stuff like that, because you'll have to paint on both sides, so it's kind of messy. So if you can do all your poly painting in the sort of, what do we call it, this pose, the T pose, that would be a lot better for you. Oh, let me just say this one. Brother, I am a ZBrush artist, but I am very scared of AI. Yes, AI does scare the big Jesus out of everybody, especially in the art industry. I don't know why they actually had to tackle art first when it came to AI. I think there's so many other things you could use AI for, but for some reason they wanted to make things faster for artwork. I don't know. It's kind of weird. You would have thought there was more you know, urgent things to use AI for, like, I don't know, cancer research, or, you know, the world hunger. I don't know, anything like that. I don't know why they came for art first, to be honest. This just seems a bit weird. Cool. So I got my character's skin color on. It's not looking great. But what I want to do next is just, sometimes I'll come in here to poly paint and I'll adjust the colors in here. So this is kind of like using the hue saturation inside of Photoshop. So you can saturate it, make it intensity, or change the hue entirely. If you change it down here, you'll see it updates here. It won't update here until you press OK here. So you can sort of slide this along to your heart's content until you're happy with the look you're getting. Hit OK, and it should actually have done it. Yep, it's done it now. This blue that I have on him is a bit too blue. think what I want to do is make it more gray. So I'm just going to paint that in, making sure symmetry's on. I don't think you have to be too worried about AI though. Not for a while. I mean, I have seen a lot of good things with AI that they have been able to achieve in a very short amount of time. And it is very scary to witness. But I think you're always going to need an actual artist there to clean the topology and UV map and texture, I guess. Or textures, an iffy one. But there's always going to be a need for an artist, which is why it's so important to become the best artist, really. And not just in one field, but in multiple fields, or know some skill in multiple fields. That's the best way you can sort of get, make sure that you have a job, I guess, at the end of the day. I'm actually going to change its colors on the tooth. I'll go for that color as a base, and then I'll bump it up to a white and just at the tips of the tooth, and then darker at the base. Now, although we're doing this for sort of a conceptual piece, you can actually do a lot of the texturing stuff inside of ZBrush on your model before you take it into Substance Painter or Mari. That way you'll be able to have a base texture for your character, which tends to help a lot, especially when I was working in film. It really helped a lot to have a base texture done in ZBrush and then import it into Mari and then just clean it up inside of Mari. Because Mari is a very complex tool to use as a texture artist, I'd say anyway. There's a lot of like things that happen inside of Mari that it's difficult to explain. So when you're texturing inside of Mari, I'm sure a lot of you know this, but I'm just going to run through it. When you're texturing inside of Mari, you'll have your model in front of you, and then you'll have something called a canvas, which you paint on. You're not actually painting onto your model, you're painting onto the canvas and then projecting that paint onto the model. Now, where that becomes tricky is when you have, let's say you have your hand, right, like this, and you want to paint on the inside of this finger here, or you actually want to paint the entire thing with, let's say it's a pink. Let me just turn that screen saves off, sorry. While I try to explain this. So let's say you have your hand like that, and you want to paint the entire hand, but the entire hand at the moment is blue, right? But you want to put pink on. So if you paint it onto the canvas and then project it on, it's going to have something called backface masking on, which basically means that you're not going to hit every single piece of the model. It's very difficult to explain, but Mari is a very difficult tool to use for painting directly. So the best thing to do is to paint all the stuff, the base stuff inside of ZBrush or Substance Painter, and then take it into Mari and then use textures, what do you call tileable textures, to enhance the model, because it does it very well. It does very well with tileable texture stuff. Right, what we got here? I've got one from Personal Diary saying, brother, if I were to ask you what is your favorite software, which one would it be? Well, ZBrush, because I use ZBrush a lot. I like the sort of sculpting side of things. It's therapeutic, if you know what I mean, and I've been doing it for a while. I actually dread making full characters for game or film, because I am so much. I get slightly bored very quickly, and I just want to move on to the next thing. So that's why when you see my time-lapse videos, I'm doing ones very quickly, and it's just me trying to throw out what's in my head, imagination, what's in my head, very quickly, and get like that dopamine rush, that dopamine hit. That's my kind of, like when you play a video game, you get to a certain level and you get that dopamine hit, and then it's gone within 10 seconds. Well, that's what it's like when I work in ZBrush. I see it as a video game, and I'm creating things, and then I hit that dopamine hit, and I go and get the next one. So that's my favorite tool to use, a ZBrush. Got one here from the Happy Extruder. Is there anything that you wouldn't add knowing it's going into PS? Wouldn't add knowing it's going to PS? Well, hair, for starters. I mean, we have hair geometry, but I don't tend to use hair on models. Eyeballs, I don't tend to do any of the painting in the eyeballs. I just use Photoshop texture, get a texture from online, stick it on the model, especially if it's a concept. Sort of drool or wets, or how like Venom has that sort of drool that hangs on him. You can't really, inside of ZBrush, it's very difficult to render that nicely. So what I do inside of Photoshop instead is I just paint it in, because it's just a little quicker. Anything like torn and tattered clothing, because you can just paint in the fibers inside of Photoshop. You can do this inside of ZBrush, but I tend to do it inside of Photoshop. So like tattoos or tribal marks or anything like that, I'll just put that inside of Photoshop, because it's just a lot quicker to paint it rather than do it inside of Photoshop. Those are the sort of things that I would tend to do inside of Photoshop rather than inside of ZBrush. Right, it just changes music to get on my nose. Here we are. Okay, let's carry on. Let's get to the beard. What's a beard look like in these preferences? Got some blue hues in there. Let's get that. Oh, what's going on here? Why did you change color? Okay. So if you wanted to pick a color in on your model, but you don't want to come over to the little slide, this little color wheel here, you could just use C and just hover it over any color, and it'll pick it from your model. Pretty quick way to pick colors. So I'm just gonna fill this in. Got one here from Ghazi D saying, "Hey Marcus, hello." Right, just gonna see. Oh, the hair needs to be the same as well, doesn't it? Same color. Yeah, let's do that as well. So it looks a bit weird that I'm painting it green, but don't worry, we're not going to have it fully green. It's just I wanted it to sort of blend in with the beard line here. So the rest of it will just be it will sort of have a gradient down to a darker color. And the same thing for the top of the head here, sort of paint in darker color at the top. There we are. The eyeballs. Now, because we're going to be putting textures, I guess, from the internet onto the eyeballs, what I'll tend to do is either keep them black or change them to a closer color that I'm going to use. So they're going to have, these orcs normally have like yellowy eyes, so I'm just going to fill it in with a bit of a dull yellow. But this is not important. This is just me putting color on there, really. Same thing for these nose rings and stuff. What I'll do is I'll normally put like a texture of metal overlay it on these pieces. So what I'll do is I'll just normally, actually, let me just merge these together. All the metal pieces, like those pieces. I'm just going to fill those in. Maybe make them slightly darker. Got one here from Daniel TDF saying, "Hey Marcus, hello from Argentina. Hello from England. Hope you guys are going all right." I do have a super chat goal. I think it's a super chat goal. Yeah, if you get 15, we reach 15 super chats, I will take this further tonight and just keep going until it's done. But the whole goal of this is to take it to the rendering stage, finish the rendering stage, and then do the Photoshop stage next week, or not next week because that's portfolio week, but the week after. But if you guys reach that goal, then I will try to get this done all tonight instead. Cool. So we got the hair on. So the hair bun up here. I'm just going to change these to, I'm going to go for like a red, I reckon. Like a, yeah, a kind of red for these. Just going to fill them in. Or burgundy, which would probably call it burgundy. That's cool. The leather is going to be leather, which would be a brown or a slightly dark brown. Now all the little stitching will make them slightly lighter so that they stand out a bit more. Okay. Let's move over to these little bolts here, which will make that color. These horns will also get the same treatment as the teeth, so I'm just gonna make them a bit darker, and then come in and just lighten the tips. Here we are. These can be the same color as the bolts. Color, fill object. Here we are. Now the shoulder pad. Oh, we got two bolts down here as well. Let me just fill those in the same color. Yeah. Now, I did say that when I do these sort of things inside of ZBrush, that I try to get it, 90% done to take into Photoshop. But the best thing to do is the more time you spend texturing inside of ZBrush, the better base you'll have to work on later on inside of Photoshop. So you can get nice looking textures on your model, depending on how long you have to do it. But if you have all the time to do it, then definitely take your time. So yeah, don't rush it really, unless you have to. Now let's just have a look at this shoulder pad quick. I'm just going to go back to this one because I like the way this one looked on this guy. Got one here from David Newhouse. I've never seen the Warcraft film. Is it any good? I'd say the graphics is good. The visual effects are good. The story's not good. I'm not a massive Warcraft player or World of Warcraft player. Sort of. I'll tell you a story. I was in my first year of university, and I remember getting my first Alienware laptop, and I downloaded the free 30-day free trial of World of Warcraft, and I did the orc race and I played it for 30 days. I tell you, I can't remember how I couldn't remember what I did during those 30 days. Apart from just playing World of Warcraft, it just sucked me in, and I could see how dangerous it could be if you just played it constantly. So I vowed never to play it again, and I haven't ever since, because that thing can be very addictive. But the film, I think, was groundbreaking for its time. It actually brought a lot of stuff. It actually created a lot of things that they now use in film. For instance, I think the muscle simulation that they used on the orcs and the hair simulation they created from scratch, which was an amazing achievement. It really did push the boundaries of CGI and live action, and that's the only good thing I could say about that film. The acting of the orcs was much better than the humans for some reason. Don't know why, but I say that the film, give it a go, watch it, but it's just not my cup of tea. Some people might be able to get over the bad sort of storytelling, but I think it didn't really do well in that regard. But the visual effects were amazing. If you just skip all the human talking and just go to VFX, it's great. The only thing that really worried me got on my nerves was that you had 6-foot humans or 5-foot humans fighting 8-foot tall, maybe 9-foot tall orcs that were built like brick houses, and they were able to kill these orcs, and these orcs were dying by these humans. It just didn't make sense to me. I would have made the humans maybe bigger. I don't know. That's just my thoughts, though. Let's see. Okay, so that's got a bit of red in that one as well. Maybe we can continue that color scheme on that shoulder pad. So, oh god, let's fill the color in. And grab the other pad and just fill that in as well. Now, I'm just going to look at this here. This looks like wood, which we could do the same thing as well. And I'm going to use a alpha for this, so it's a bit harder. Turn the focus up on it as well. Let's do. It's not neat, but it'll work for now. This will work for what we want. And funny enough, this is the exact same techniques I used for that film Munja, where I created that creature. It's the same techniques I used in that film as well, to paint it and to make the concepts for the film. So just keep that in mind. There we are. Turn on back face masking so I don't paint anything on the other side. I hope that's worked. Yep. And just going to clean up this edge here. And down here as well. Okay, I think that's good for that one. Let's just have a look and see what it looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We'll just fill in these the same color as the wood. It just changes music quick. There we go. I hope everyone's had a good week so far. Been very, well, it's been the same really for me, just working and then, you know, oh God, what's going on here? Oh, that's right. I'm not in Photoshop. I'm trying to paint, but I'm not in Photoshop. Yeah, just been a normal working week, I guess, for me. You got the new Assassin's Creed game out today, I believe, from Ubisoft. Been watching a bit of that. It's quite interesting. I haven't really played an Assassin's Creed game for a very long time now. I think I gave up after Syndicate, to be honest. That one here from, I'm going to try and say his name, I'm probably going to butcher it. Abishk Poswan, saying sup man, hello. God, I'm bad at names. I'm normally better with faces, to be fair. You could probably be standing in front of me and telling me your name 10 times and I'll forget it completely within the first 5 seconds of finishing talking. But I always remember a name. I always remember a face. So I think that's just the art side of me, artistic side of me. I just can't remember names very well. But yeah, the Assassin's Creed game came out, and like I was mentioning, the Syndicate was the last one I played, and I think it just grew old. It's the same thing for me over and over again. There's nothing really, well, you could say there's new things as in new traversal and stuff like that, but gameplay wise it just looks like a copy and paste to me nowadays. I think it's overdone now. Too many Assassin's Creeds. But what one did you guys have you guys played up to, or are you playing the latest one? Please leave a comment in the comment section. Got one here from Abishk. Let's just say Abishk. Can you tell any exercise to improvise in making autonomy like hand and body in ZBrush? You mean prove in making anatomy like hand and body in ZBrush? Yeah, I have a. Oh God, 1 second. Yeah, I have a plan in the near future to focus on such things. So I know that a lot of people are probably stuck on how to do anatomy inside of ZBrush, and it's a very difficult thing to do when you're first starting off. But I think what I'll do is I'll run you through individual body parts. I think it's the best way to do it. I have got 1 second. I'll just show you guys this. I've shown you guys this 1,000 times, I'm sure, but just like that. This book here, Anatomy for 3D Artists. This is the book to buy. It has a lot of drawing information and muscle information, so you can see how muscles are. Whoops, here we are. On the body and how they work and how they look. And I think what I'm going to do, and you also got the ZBrush side of things as well, so you can see how they sculpted it inside of ZBrush. And I think it shows you how to do it step by step as well. There's some hands in there as well for you. This is a must-have book for artists, 3D artists, if you want to become a good sculptor. But I think what I'm going to do is go through this with you and do body parts or anatomy sculpting, and show you how to do it using primitive shapes and then building on those primitive shapes. And then we can sort of get the book. I'll try and find images of the book online, or I'll take some pictures and I'll show you. I'll put them up on the screen and we can go through it one by one, if that helps. I mean, I know anatomy sculpting is not the funnest of things, but it is the most essential thing to do because it's going to help you in your creature design as well. So hopefully that that'll be handy. I do have plans for that. Maybe we can start doing that after this thing, unless people want to see more creature designs. But because we have on Mondays, we got the dragon sculpt that we're doing, and I really want to get that one done for you guys because I think it'll be a really good portfolio piece. And then after that, I have to think of a new tutorial for Mondays. But on Thursdays, I think I want to keep the chill vibes, and I'll just show you how to do some techniques used in anatomy. I think that will be probably the best thing to do. Yeah, maybe we'll do that after these this guy. So I went a bit further with the face and the extra features on the face and stuff, but normally what I do is I would do what I've done here and add paint to each individual piece, and then I'd go back over it and paint extra texture on it. So let's start off with this shield pad that we have. We're not going to just leave it like this. I'm just going to come over to masking, and I'm going to start using some of these in here to mask the cavities. So you can see here, this is now masking all the cavity areas, and you can play around with all these sort of sets in here to get the best mask that you can. See that one? You got the edges on this one here now. So if I turn off the view of it and come in with maybe a lighter brown on a color, on a spray, sorry, and use one of these alphas, you can see how we can now build up the edges of this wood like so. I'm not pushing too hard on the brush. I'm just very lightly adding texture on those sort of raised areas. So we unhide that. You can see it's not going to come out too well, but we can always enhance this inside of Photoshop later as well. Oh, oh my God. There we go, guys. Sorry about that. You probably just missed all that. I'll have to redo it. Let me redo it. God damn it. Right, 1 second. Let me just turn the music over. The music's also helping me. Right. I need a I need a producer, to be fair, to do all this background stuff. Cool. So, right, this is where I was before I started doing everything. So I solo the shield, the shoulder pad, and I come over to the masking section here, and I just played around with the mask by cavity sort of adjustment here to get what I wanted. So if you push this upwards, it's going to mask all the cavity on the inside. If you push it downwards to the base, it's going to mask everything on the outside. So that's what I did. I just put this to roughly about there. I'm going to actually make it a little bit more. There we go. And I'm going to hide the mask. I know it's there, so I'm just going to hide the mask for now. And using the lighter shade, I'm just going to come in and texture that wood edges. Again, I'm not being too careful. I'm just trying to get some textures down. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to flip it so the mask is on the inside of all these crevices, or these cavities. I'm going to invert it. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to make the cavities slightly darker. And this is a very quick way. I'm even going to put it on the inside of there as well. It's a very quick way to texture your concept. So now it looks a little bit more like wood, I guess you'd say. If you want, you can also use the other masking techniques here. So let's have a look at what happens if we put peaks and valleys on, sorry. And I'm going to solo this. Now you have some adjustment layers up here which you can use. So you can blur the mask, and you can touch these, you can click on these as much as you like to get the desired look you're going for. So I'm going to invert it. I'm going to invert it this way. I'm going to grow the mask a couple of times, and I'm going to boost it. Boost it again. Grow, blur, like that. And in there, I'm just going to add a bit more lightness to it. This is just a very quick and easy way to texture your model. There we are. And that is all I'm going to do for that. And so I'll have a kind of sort of woody looking shoulder pad with some red inlay on the inside. I'm just going to do the same thing for the side here. So just color pick that. And invert that. Grab a darker palette. There we are. Do the same thing here. Oh, don't forget to clear the mask as well. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there still. And you just want to clear those masks really. Just gonna select that one. Just paint, very quickly paint these in. Just going to clear that mask quick. I'm just going to clean up some overspill. I'll do. Try to grab that color in there. There we are. Yeah, we'll leave it there for that. Cool. So let's say that that's all done for the shoulder pads. I'm going to do the same thing for the leather. Oh, we just turn off that mask. Same thing for the leather. Just changing the intensity a bit. Selecting that leather color. I'm just going to make it slightly lighter. Got a question here by LINKTREE. One question: why you don't use Substance Painter? Because I tend to do a lot of quick time-lapse videos for conceptual use, not for actual model, like game-ready model in my spare time. So this is the sort of thing I do for my own enjoyment, and also conceptual pieces. If I was working in a studio, which I do 9 till 5 every day, I do use Substance Painter. So I do use Substance Painter. I have thought about taking one of my old models I have, which has also got Retopo, and taking that into Substance Painter so I can show you guys how I use Substance Painter. Maybe we can make that one of the sort of Thursday videos next month, Thursday live stream videos next month. Maybe I'll do it then. I'll set it all up and I'll show you how I use Substance Painter in that regard. But yeah, this is more of a personal concept piece that I do. So this is what I do for my personal pieces. But yeah, I do use Substance Painter. It's just really quicker as well for me anyway. Let's just quickly paint this one in as well. Let's check the peak and values. Smoothness. Let's do smoothness. And I'm going to make this darker. Just see how this looks quick. That should be all right. Okay, got one from Abishnik. So sorry. I'm just going to call you. I'm just going to call you Ab from now on. It's just going to make it easier for me. By the way, love from India, and you can call me Abby. Abby, okay, Abby. And hell, I'm going to join member only, man. So informative. Oh, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed that video I made as well for the membership, YouTube membership. I think it was quite fun to make. I do video editing as well as 3D stuff, so I have a little bit of a background in that as well. And I decided to make a YouTube membership video using some very basic techniques, basically. But yeah, thank you for deciding to join the membership as well. Got one from LINKTREE saying, nice, do you use ArtStation so I can see your work? Yes, I have an ArtStation. In fact, let me just bring that up for you quick. 1 second. So here's my ArtStation, and I have a lot of work on here. I do have sort of, this one was done in, so this one here, because you were the one asking about Substance Painter. This one was done in Substance Painter. So I actually have a video on how I did that in Substance Painter, and I think it walks you through it as well. It's a time lapse, but I'm talking you through it so you get an idea of how things are made. But this was done in Substance Painter. I have other ones that were done in Substance Painter as well. This one was done in Mari, I believe, which is a very old one. But yes, I do have a ArtStation. A lot of them are speed sculpts, so it's just me sculpting in my spare time, and also for my YouTube channel. But each one of these should have a video time lapse on there, so you can sort of see how I did it. Yeah, so that's my ArtStation. Cool. There's them. Just going to add that dirty brown in there a bit more. Just going to grow this one and invert it. There we go. That'll do. Not looking for perfection. Right. The skin can do a little bit of work still. So going to use this paintbrush setup we have here for now. Let's color select the skin using C on the keyboard, And I'm just going to darken it a bit more. And then very lightly, I don't know if you can see that, but there is paint coming. It is paint going on the model. But it's very, very light. So it's a gradual build-up of the skin sort of texture. There we go. That'll about do it. I'm going to use cavity on this one as well, but I think it's going to be very difficult to get any information. But let's see what can happen. What can go on here? Invert, grow. I want you to blur. So this is just going around the little cavity areas with the same brush and adding some darker areas in the creases of the skin. As best it can. I mean, you probably can't see much going on, but it kind of helps a little bit. And for the top of the head, we're going to sort of have, what does it look like on these references? 1 second. So yeah, it looks like it's got quite a shine. They got quite shiny heads, sort of not much pigmentation change. But I think what I'll do is color select there on the hair, and then clear the mask and just paint along this edges here, just to blend it in a bit better. Now you can also do some imperfections. So using this brush here, you can just, whoops. Let's do this with the standard brush actually. Work better with the standard brush. I'm going to add a couple of moles on his face. Stop. Symmetry. There we go. If you add a couple of moles on his face, or beauty spots in different areas, and I've got the Z-add and RGB on the same time, so it's coloring the sculpt as it goes. This just gives it a little bit more asymmetry as well. Yeah, that'll do. I've got one here from Kane HB saying, this is interesting. I'm playing the stream from Pot Player while doing some other stuff and using its always on top feature. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. For anyone who has only one monitor, I advise you of doing this too. What's Pot Player, by the way? Pot Player? Not sure. There's not toilet references. Watching it from the toilet. That's cool, man. Thanks, man. Okay. Let's say, oh, I think that skin still needs to be darker because you could see the taking it into Photoshop at this stage with this strap being these pieces here being very bright and the skin being very dark, sorry, and the skin being very bright. It's not going to work very well. So there's two ways we can do this. We can either change the adjustment on the color and change the saturation up a bit to bring the color higher, or darken it to bring it down to the same level as the pads here. We don't want to make it too dark. I think that'll do. Yeah, that's good. Oh, it's a video player software. Okay. I thought it was the toilet because it said pot player. I thought maybe it was a joke. That's cool, man. Nice one. Right. So now I'm going to say that I'm happy with the way this looks, and I'm ready to take it to the next stage, which is the posing stage. So this is where we can actually make this look a little bit more interesting. Instead of just being a straightforward T-pose, which is very boring to look at, we can sort of pose it so that it looks more interesting to the viewer's eye, basically. So what I normally do is just come over Z plugin, transpose master. I turn on the layers. Now it's very important that you turn on your layers when you transpose, because you don't want to pose the character and then all of a sudden you can't go back to the T-pose in order to, I don't know, let's say you decide to later on you want to do the retopo, or you want to take the model further after the concept, but you can't really get back to that T-pose because you didn't turn layers on, so you only have it in a posed way. That's why I always put layer on, turn that on, so that you have something that you can turn off, turn on, and you can go back to your T-pose and have something there to work with if you ever want to go back to your model. Just a handy tip there. What it's going to do is it's going to run through the whole model and get it ready for posing. So if you hit T-pose mesh, it's going to run through your whole model, and it's going to take it back to its lowest subdivision level for each piece. And this actually helps with posing because you don't want to be posing something that's got really high topology, because it's very difficult to use the masking technique with a high topology model, because you have to, soften the mask when you're posing it. And if you have a high poly model, when you're trying to soften the mask on a high poly model, it's going to take longer and longer, and the actual deformation of that rotation or pose won't look as smooth because it's got too much topology to work with. So you always want to make sure you got a nice low topology to pose with on your character. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to hide these pieces. Oops. Because I want to actually just rotate. Oops. Okay. I want to rotate the head area. So I'm just going to mask out the head and then soften the actual mask on that head, and bring back the shoulder pad, and then reverse the mask. And I think what I want to do, I want to kind of get posed in a way that it's, let's have a look at these references first. Let's see what they've done. Yeah, so this guy's kind of just sort of made him look up and to the side, really. Or you can either do it this way, but I want to get more of the shoulder pad in, so what if we pose it from this angle? You can still be looking the other way, or is it too much of the other way? Does he have to be looking up? Can he be looking down? And to the side? Maybe that would be quite good. Yeah, that will be looking. That'll be all right, won't it? I mean, you don't have to get everything in the shot. You kind of you want to focus on the the best part of the model. And the best part of the model is not the shoulder pad or the strap down here. It's actually the face that you're trying to show off, because that's where the character is. So that's the focal point of the design that you're trying to show off. As you can see from these concepts down here, if I pull this out again, oh, I've got all these concepts here. If you can see from this concept here, they're kind of, now these are AI images, AI made images. So take it with a pinch of salt. We're using them as a reference. We're not using them as the beginning and end all of our project, just using them as reference. So the face is the most important part in some of these models, the bust, right? So even the AI can see that it needs to focus on these areas more than the other pieces. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to focus on this key area here, and everything else is just a bonus, really. So we can have it like that, and then I'm just going to mask out the hair. And just have that rotated to the side of it. That'll do. And then you can also mask out the shoulder. And maybe just rotate it out slightly. Is that too much? Maybe it's too much. Now, don't worry about the fisheye lens effect that we're getting here, because at the moment the draw, if I just hide the reference quick, I'll move that out of the way quick. The draw is set to horizontal, but we're actually going to have it at vertical, and I probably put it on 85 millimeter because I want a flat image. I don't really want a sort of fisheye lens going around, because I want to sort of make it look like a concept piece. So it's going to be nice and flat to the eye. So I think that will work better. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. You know, I think that'll look good. So the next thing to do is just come up here to Z plugin and go to T-pose subtool. What it's going to do is it's going to run through it again, and it's going to make a layer for each and every single object on your model, and it's going to put that information that we just did, the posing information, into that layer for us. So if I hit that now, it's just going to run through quickly. You can see here it's moving the model for us. So it's updating the high-res model for the information that we had from the low-res model. It might take a little time because it's quite a lot of topology. You can see at the top right-hand corner there, it's got like 40 million total points to this model. So it's actually quite a big model that we have going on here. And it's not something I typically do. All right, that's done. Maybe just give that a minute to think. Hopefully it's not going to crash. There we are. One thing more I want to do before I go any further is just this spike here is a little bit too pushed out to the side. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rotate that one spike round a bit more. So just come up to the subtool palette and select that spike, or that group of spikes. There we are. And using them, I'm just going to mask that one particular spike out. I'm just going to rotate it so that it's not so far gone. Like that. There we are. And that is going to be our rendering. So we might just rotate it slightly up a bit like that, because I want to get some of that red from the shoulder pad. Got a new member. Abby has become a new member. Thank you very much. And also, I think there was another member from this guy, Le Moral del Multiverso. There's another member. Thank you very much. Welcome to the crew. So now that we have the pose, actually, I'll just show you quickly. We'll come up to the top here, the body, and we come to layers. You're going to see that we have now a new layer, and it's called untitled layer. But we can sort of click on that to turn it off, and it's going to pop it back to the T-pose stage, and then pop it back to the pose stage. So that's really good to use, especially if you want to, keep a version of your model for T-pose reasons. I'm just going to move that other spike as well. Maybe I'll get away with it. Yeah, I'm going to get away with it. Okay, so now what we can do is prepare it for the rendering inside of ZBrush. So the first thing I want to do is change the document scale so that we have a portrait rather than a landscape that we render from. Because at the moment we're rendering and we're seeing the image in a landscape view, but we want a portrait because it's a portrait. So we're going to go to Documents, turn off Pro, and the width, I'm going to put that to 1080, and the height to 1920. So we're basically having a 1920 by 1080, but we're flipping it to portrait view instead. And I'm just going to resize that. Just going to hit Control N on the keyboard to clear the canvas, and I'm going to pull that out again. And now we have it in a proper portrait mode. And if you feel that your model is getting cut off too much, you can come in here and change the width to 1270 rather. Resize it again. I think that will work a little better for us, because we want to be able to get as much into this image as possible. Because if you can fill the image in here, then you can always change it later inside of Photoshop. You can crop it and scale it up inside of Photoshop later. But you want to be able to have at least enough of your model in your scene so that you can see most of it, basically. Right, so let's say that that's the pose I want. And there's two ways you can do this. You can either lock the camera here, so you can't actually physically move around your model or move the camera. Or you can come into Documents and just save in Z App Link. You can save a camera position. And now if I rotate to the side and I lose my position, I can then come in here. Oh, just wait for the ZBrush to stop saving. Right, I can come in here, I can hit cluster 1, and it'll pop me back to the saved view. You probably want to save this view just in case crash happens inside ZBrush. So I'm just going to save this view quick. Oh, push it out of the way, you don't want to see that. Just give me 1 second. There we are. Right. So now we have our our view saved. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so I can actually see what I'm doing here. I have on the side here, if I open a divider, I've got the lights and the render settings on the side here. You'll find them at the top of your bar at the top here, normally, lights, render. All right, nice to see you, Abby, and thanks for Abby for becoming a member. Have a good night's sleep. I'll see you tomorrow as well. Right, yeah, so I have all the rendering stuff in the sidebar, but you got the renderers at the top here and the lighting at the top there as well. You can just click and drag them over to the side here if you need to. I'm not going to show you how to do it, but it's typically what I do. So in the rendering section, I'm just going to look at the properties quick and turn on ambient occlusion. Now, before I go any further and do all the fancy bits about changing the settings inside the rendering, I like to test where the light source is going to be, the main light source is going to be on the model. I've got this little light placement at the bottom here that I've added to my shelf, but you can find it in here as well. So if you want to move the light source, you can just dock it to the side here on the left and then move it around here. I just got it down here. And when I start moving this, you're going to see that the light changes direction. And you can change the intensity and the distance. So if you push this closer, so at 100, it's far away, and at about 6, it's like right up close. I don't tend to change this too often, so I'll just keep that at 100. And now it's all about trying to find a good shadow ambient occlusion and, well, a good shadow for your design. So I'll just show you what that means in a minute. I'll just finish rendering. So you want a nice looking shadow. Now, bear in mind, we haven't changed the properties of this one yet, of the shadow yet, but you want to make sure that you have a nice looking shadow that's going to, you know, the position of the light is going to be very important for showing off the model and the shapes as well. It's all about the shape language and how the shadows help with negative space and all that sort of thing. So this one works quite nicely, actually, because you got all the shadows on this side, and it looks like the light's coming from the right-hand side, top right-hand side. Might be a bit too far over, so what you could do is bring it maybe a little bit forward and just redo that. That looks better. Maybe just a little higher. I mean, you could experiment for hours on this sort of thing, and you know, normally it would take me hours to, well, not hours, but a couple of minutes to find the best light source. But yeah, once you do find it, it becomes really good. So that looks really nice because you've got all this shadows here, which are helping with the shapes here. So you can see how the shadows hit this model here, the chest, the eye sockets, the sort of the cheekbones are look like they're slightly raised because of the shadow on the other side. So it's all about looking for a good source of light and how the light's going to hit the model. We could just maybe see what happens if we push it a little further up. If you guys got any questions, please leave them in the chat and I'll answer them. It's not just me doing a tutorial tonight. If you guys have anything you want to talk about or ask, please let me know. I actually quite like this one, actually. This render looks pretty good. It's very moody and very sort of, what do you gonna call it? Scary, you know? Scary. I got one here from Izul the Beloved. Just to say hi, I learned so much from you. Greetings from Serbia. Wow, nice to see you too. Thanks for joining this live stream. I think I'm going to go with this light source. I think this one looks really good. It's going to hide the eyes, but it looks really good because it looks like he's kind of leaning forward, doesn't it? Like he's about to, like he's approaching the camera. That's the sort of feeling you get when you see the sort of lighting. It's very moody, very ominous. So I think I'm going to keep that. So now that I've got the light in the right place, I can come over to the render sort of tab here and take a look at these properties. I'm not going to run through all of it. I think I'm just going to add some angles to the light source and also add more rays. And that angle is just going to help it soften the shadow a bit more, because at the moment it's really harsh. But we want to soften it slightly. So I'm just going to turn down the blur on the ambient occlusion, up the resolution, up the rays, and drop the V depth. I'm just going to check how this works. Sometimes I change the V depth a little to something else, but yeah, maybe it will work all right with the one. Just going to see what that looks like. It's going to take a little bit longer to do because we added so much more like in the settings. So just going to give it a minute to run through. Just going to see if there's anything in the chat quick. I got one here from Dave Newhouse saying, "How is the gym going? I went back this week after a break and I can't move at the moment from muscle pain." Yeah, I've screwed my shoulder up somewhat at the back here. So now I can't do much of a bench, like a shoulder press. But I went this morning and yeah, it weren't too bad. I go in the morning, you see, so I wake up at 4:30 and then get to the gym because the gym only opens at 6, but I need that good hour and a half to wake up. I also walk to the gym, which is another 20 minutes. But yeah, it's going good. It's going good. I don't think I'll ever be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you know, one can dream. One can dream. I do need to work on my legs though. My God, yeah, leg day is the worst day, as people say. Cool. So that is our render, and if I just show you quickly what the render parcels look like. So we got the shadow here, so you can see how the shadow's got a nice softer edge to it, so it's not so harsh. And then we also got the ambient occlusion here, and these are just little previews you can see. And the ambient occlusion looks really nice. We can adjust it later inside of Photoshop. So yeah, that's really cool. We don't use the composited version. We're going to use the shaded version. But what I tend to do is export these ones, the mask, AO, shadow, and depth, and then I'll re-render the color map, but without the shadow and ambient occlusion, because I wanted just a flat color on it. And then I'll export that as a separate render. So I'm just going to save these out. So the best way to do is just save these out is just to click on that. I'll open on the other window here, but you just got to click on that and save it out as a PSD. I'll just quickly show you. So you can see here, there's a BPR mask, basically. Just going to take it off the side there. I'm just going to do the same thing with the ambient occlusion, the shadow, and the depth. And now that we have that, we can go to render properties, turn off the ambient occlusion and shadow, render it again. And that will just give us the model, and that will give us the shaded version. And I'm just going to save that as render. Now you can name these if you want, but after doing it for so long, you tend to give up on like naming all the renders and stuff like that. So I just save them as 1, 2, and 3s most of the time. Anyway, now that we have those pieces done, that's the first stage of the render done. The second stage of the render is to actually get the materials, the matcap materials rendered out, so we can use those to composite the image in Photoshop later, and help us to get more for our image or get more information onto our image. Let me just change that music quick. God, this music is just constantly. Right, so first thing I want to do is come over to here hit the flat color. So this is just going to give us flat color on of our character. So all the flat color, apart from these pieces here. I don't know why these are. I'm just gonna try and figure out what's going on here. I think it's just yeah, it's just not playing ball with the color. There we are. Let's get these two down here as well. There we are. Right. So I'm just going to render this out and call that flat. And then we can just come in here and turn off all the colors, all the color information, because we've done with the color information now. Got one here from Dave Newhouse again saying, my PSD images were locked as background images in Photoshop and wouldn't convert to layers for some reason. Yeah, you got to hit the little lock button, I think it is. You just got to click on that or rasterize the image. I'll show you when I open it up inside of Photoshop. I'll show you there how to tackle that. It could also be the color. Is it the color information? Yeah, you probably have to give me a minute to think about that one. So we just turned off all the color, and the next thing I'll do is I'll just come in here, and I've got a couple of these matte caps here, as you can see. If you want these matte caps, I'll just show you quick where you can get these matte caps. One second. I'll just bring this whole thing in. So my online store, this is ArtStation. I've got Gumroad, Flip Normals, and ZBrush. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to find, oops, I think I've gone past it. Here it is, matte cap materials. And these are basically all the matte cap materials from ZBrush that I downloaded. And all you got to do is download this. It's totally free, so you can download this, grab all the matte cap materials. There's a way to plug them in. I'll show you how to plug them in here. Just go to your local disk drive, program files, Pixelogic. This is ZBrush 2021 I'm using, but it's the same for everyone. Go to Startup Materials or Z Startup Materials and throw all the materials in there, and you'll be able to, once you reload ZBrush, they'll all be in the matte cap material library for you. Okay, just gonna move that out of the way. So that's why I've got all of these matte cap materials, and I have a few in here that I just use as a base because I know that I can use them very well and I know what to do with them. So I'm just gonna save this one out. Again, I'm not gonna name them what they are. I'm just gonna call them number 1. So that's 1. Grab this one. I'll call that one number 2. Here's a nice line cavity type render you can get, so you can get some nice information from this one. There's also another one called Flat Sketch, which works the same way. There we are. Let me grab this one. Then I like to get the normal map as well. This helps with lighting. So I know a lot of you are thinking, how does that help with lighting? Well, I'll show you inside of Photoshop when we get to the Photoshop stage how that helps with lighting. But yeah, so just get that one. We'll get some metal, because we have metal pieces, so we might as well get a metal texture. And we get the reflective map. This is nice to use for wet, shiny surfaces. So if you've got like sweat or greasy skin or eyeballs or a metallic car, this is pretty good to use, I find. There's some other ones in here. Yeah, it's kind of like just playing around and picking the ones you need, really. test them out, try all of them. I've tried plenty of them. I'm just doing the ones that I would normally use. So let me actually just select the head, because it's actually going to give us a better preview. Let's grab this one. Not that we'll use all of them. And that's the beauty. You don't have to use all of them. You can just use one or two. Sometimes you could just use none of them to get your point across. But it's good to have backups just in case you want to test something. You can even use a gold, just in case you want to make these metal pieces gold instead. So you can render out a gold texture. I think I'm going to leave it there for the materials. The next one's actually the lighting. So there's multiple ways you can do this. I just do it this certain way because I've done it this certain way for a very long time. So I normally click the blend material at the bottom here, and that one comes with ZBrush. And I'll come up here to lights, and I'll change the color to black, pure black. And then I'll come up to the light, and I'll make this intensity of the light much higher. So you can see where the light's going to hit and where it's not going to hit. So everything the light hits is where the light ray is going to be when you render it, or when you composite it, sorry. So I'm going to render out this one because it's the first light that we had. And again, this is one of those sort of cases where you can render out tons of lights and only use a couple. But it's good to have as many as you can have, as many as you want. Sorry, for this process. So that's number one. Now I'm going to move a light source. I'm just going to try and find some good light positions. Bearing in mind the shadows are going to be on this side of the model here. So you probably want to keep the light source on this side here more. And if you tap on the light, the actual little light logo down here or up here, it'll actually push that light to the back of the model. And if you skirt around the edge, you'll probably get a nice rim light there, or light source coming from the light right hand side. You can even change the distance. That's pretty nice. Just going to rotate that up a bit. There we are. I'm going to render that out. And I'm actually going to push the light to the very back behind the model, because this is going to give us a nice edge light, or rim light, sorry, around our model. Here we are. 3. And now I'm just going to come in and see if I can find any good positions. That looks pretty nice. Again, I might not use it. I might use it. Depends on what it looks like when you put it inside of Photoshop. Oops. There we are. You can even get one from underneath. Like that. Let's see what that happens. What happens when we do that? Okay. Now we're going to bring that to the front again. Turn the color back to white. Bring down the intensity. And bring the distance back up. So the last thing to do, and I always leave it to the last because you don't want to destroy all the color information on your model before you do this part. So the very last thing I'll do is make a color map, or an ID map for the colors, for the different materials or different parts of your model, basically. So for the head, you can use you can fill it with red. So I'll just come in here. Make sure that you save. Let me just save before I destroy it. So I'm just going to save off screen quick. 16. So make sure you save your model before you do this, because you don't want to lose any of that color information you might have had. And then I'm just going to fill this in with an RGB. Fill this in with red. And for the hair, I'm just going to fill it in with the green. It's going to keep having that little warning label thing come up, so don't worry about that. Just click away from it. It's just because you got layers on your model, it doesn't realize it keeps telling you that you have layers, basically. And what you essentially want to do is you want to go through every single one of these pieces and give it an ID map, or what will be an ID map. I'm just going to go through each one. And just assign, try to assign a different color for each one. There we go. Trying to get this done as quickly as I can, guys. It's quite tedious, really. Guys, got any questions? Please leave in the chat and I'll get around to them. There we go. I haven't got a yellow one yet, so put a yellow on those. Color. So I'm going to change that music. That music is getting on my wick. There we go. Change it. I gotta find new music, guys. That stuff is just killing me. There we are. Color, fill object. Fill object. Fill object. Fill object. Grab that one. And this will just keep this as a white, I guess. So now that we've put ID colors all over the pieces, individual pieces, keep bearing in mind the different types of materials they are. So you can see all the bolts are blue, all the metal pieces are blue, the beard and the hair are green, the actual skin is red. And what will happen now is if I turn this to a flat color, you can see we have a mask here. I'm just going to hit render on that. And it's going to render out a nice mask that we can now use to isolate stuff inside of Photoshop. So let's save this one out. I'm going to call this one ID. There we are. And that is it. That's pretty much it, guys. That's how I render using ZBrush for my concepts. Now, it looks like we're coming to the end of the stream. Let me just check quick. Yep. Coming to the end of the stream. It's about 2 hours. Well, 2 hours. If you guys have any questions, I'll take some questions for the last 10 minutes. If you have any questions you want to ask about anything in particular. Oh, I did want to actually share. One second. Just grab a break. I did want to share with you guys an artist that I follow. You might know her. Her name is Rocat, and she's an amazing 3D artist. If you haven't seen her work before, definitely go and check her out. It's Rocat, R-O-W-C-A-T. and she does a lot of concept work as well as 3D modeling. And yeah, I think you could, learn quite a lot from her. She's got really good models actually for sale. So if we go over to her actual website, you can see here she's got a really cool website. If you go to the shop side of things, it'll take you to her Gumroad site. And I know Gumroad isn't really a fancy thing for a lot of people to use, but she's got these cool low poly models. Now, I think these are great, and I'm thinking of actually grabbing one for future and using it in my live stream to show you how to sculpt from a base model. I'll just show you very quickly what's in here. So it loads up. So she made a whole bunch of farm animals, but she's used primitive shapes and blocked in all the very unique or specific areas, like a block in for the model, right? And what you can do is you can see here, she's got all the cows, horses, chickens, goats, sheep. They all have correct looking anatomy, so you don't have to worry about making the anatomy perfect because it's already there. All you got to do is sculpt the final piece. And these are great for time saving. So if you wanted to see how she's doing this, she's even taken a bunny and made it into something of her own design. But anyway, if you're looking for a faster way to sculpt a model but don't want to spend too much time on getting the proportions right, I highly recommend that you try looking at her work here. She's even got dinosaurs, which I think is amazing. In fact, I might buy this one and try using them inside of ZBrush. So that could be something that I do in the future. But they're really good. They took a long time for her to make as well. So it's just sort of a quicker way to sort of sculpt your creatures, I think. They really look good. But yeah, and then she's also got wallpapers of her artwork and individual pieces here as well. I thought I'd just bring this up because she's got this thing she does, her art business. Each month she shows you how much she makes, and she's not doing too well at the moment with her sales, and I thought maybe I could just help by promoting her work if you guys are interested in sort of what she has. But it would be really great if you could help her out. Again, that's Rocat. You probably know her. But yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up, try to help out other artists as well. So just gonna have a look at the chat quick. There's no more chat, no more questions. Anybody got any more questions? Please let me know. Otherwise, I'll call this one done. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the chat goal, but we can do this. We can finish the Photoshop piece off next month, beginning next month, because next week is going to be portfolio review. So if you guys have a portfolio you want me to review, one of your portfolios, then please send me a link. I've got a Discord. The Discord link doesn't work very well. So the best way to get to my Discord is just to type in MLW Creative in Discord. You'll probably be able to search me. You probably know the logo. Hopefully you'll know it by now. So you'll be able to see where that is. Send me your portfolio with a review in a message, or I might just make a new chat in Discord to put the portfolios in there for the review. But yeah, next week is portfolio review, where I'll just take a look at what you guys have got. And yeah, hopefully I can help out with whatever you want to do in your 3D journey. But yeah, so I think that's it for tonight. I don't see any more questions, any more chat going on. I think people are falling asleep. So I'll just quickly round this all off. God, my ears are going. Okay, let's have a look here. So if you want, again, you can become a member of the channel for $4.99 a month. That's 49p a video. You can become a member and you can get all the past live streams, tutorials, and YouTube members only content. And you can also become a Patreon, where you'll get all that and more as tier 3. And next month, April, we'll start to do specifically the tutorial for the Velociraptor, which is only for tier 3 in my patrons. So if you want to learn how to make one of these for your portfolio, then go into my Patreon site and have a look there. I also have online stores, so you can shop at my online stores: ArtStation, Flip Normals, Gumroad, ZBrush, and I got 300 star reviews on ArtStation alone, and that is climbing as we speak. So there's some good quality content on there, and a lot of people have put their reviews in and said how well they are. So go check those out when you have a minute as well. And lastly, the part I dread the most, because I cannot say some of these names to save my life, but here we go. YouTube members, I just want to thank my YouTube members. So, oh god, we're getting quite a few now, quite a lot of people. I think we just had 2 new ones as well. So we got Joe, Louis Fritas. Oh god, my dyslexia. Ivan Savoin, sorry, Maria Carvalho, Nicholas Anastasio, Tyria Pong Mutsalas, Home Slice Creative, Zeem, VFX, Lucas Cristoforo, and a gentleman from Japan who I cannot say because I cannot read, unfortunately, but thank you for joining. We got 1 monthers. We have Nitsia Kracht, Dave Newhouse, Jace Burgoyne, Artser, Mateo, Selek, and Ganesh, and my 2-monther, Joseph Bonkowski. I want to thank you all for joining. And finally, my patrons, I got, just for tier 3, Aaron Todman, Anno, Ganesh, Erwin Vandermine, Wayne, Fernando, Cisnaras, Passos, and Hoofy76. Right, I'm just going to chat one more time. Thanks guys. Got one from, I'm not gonna even say it, sorry. I'm too tired right now. Keep on the good work, awesome work. Thanks a lot, mate. Then we got tomorrow. Thanks, Marcus, great stuff as usual. Brilliant. Right, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday for the dragon sculpt, and we're going to be looking at the back legs of the dragon for that one, so look forward to that. Have a great weekend and stay safe. Take care, guys.
Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more exclusive content and want to support my work further, then please check out my Patreon page at MLW_creative for more. Also, view past live streams you might have missed in Tier 3 tutorial support, where I will be archiving future streams moving forward. If you are interested in other full-length tutorials, brushes, and models, then check out my online stores for more useful content. I would also like to thank all my subscribers and patrons for supporting me for this long. Again, thanks for watching and stay safe.